If you're trying to qualify for Medicaid in Florida in 2026, especially for long-term care, for nursing home coverage, this video will explain exactly who qualifies and who doesn't. So for most Florida families, many assume that they make too much money to qualify for Medicaid. And that assumption can cost them actually tens of thousands of dollars, because the truth is that many people in Florida do qualify for Medicaid benefits even when they think that their income is over the limit. And so today I'm going to break down Florida Medicaid eligibility for you, according to the rules for 2026, including income limits, asset limits, and what actually is exempt under Florida law. So here's where most families get confused in Florida. They mix up regular healthcare insurance, like Medicare. Medicare is different than Medicaid. Medicaid is for nursing home care. It's for home and community-based services, and the Florida Statewide Medicaid Managed Care long-term care program. Each one has different rules, and on top of that, you hear things like, "Oh, you can only have $2,000," or "You will lose your house if you apply for Medicaid. You have to spend everything you have," and none of this is completely accurate. So let's simplify this. If you're applying for Florida long-term care Medicaid, whether for nursing home care or for home-based care or assisted living care, there are three main eligibility categories that you need to keep in mind and you need to understand. Let's address the income limits first. In Florida in 2026, the income limit it's state specific, so you need to be sure that this applies to you because this only applies to Florida residents. This means that there's a monthly income limit to qualify for Medicaid in 2026. The monthly gross income limit for an individual applicant in the state of Florida in 2026 is $2,982. If your income is over that limit, it doesn't mean that you automatically are disqualified or you can't apply. It just means that Florida allows for what's called a qualified income trust, okay? Also known as a Miller Trust, which can legally redirect excess income to help you qualify. So this is where many families think that they're going to be denied, when in reality they may still be able to qualify with proper planning, okay? So that's income. And so then number two is asset limits in Florida Medicaid. Now let's talk about assets. What does that mean? For a single individual applying for Florida long-term care Medicaid, that means that the asset limit is set generally at $2,000 in countable resources, okay? Cash, mostly. But there's where most people don't realize that not everything counts, right? And so Florida Medicaid does not count your primary Florida homestead property if within the equity limit and you have the intent to return to that existing home. You don't count one vehicle. You don't count personal belongings. You don't count certain burial arrangements, right? So some life insurance policies, depending on the type and value, if you're married and you only have and only one spouse is applying, Florida law protects that community spouse, which is what it's called, which is what the person who's not applying for Medicaid is called. That spouse at home is allowed to keep a protected amount of assets, which is called Community Spouse Resource Allowance, a protected level of income. And so no Medicaid, they're not applying for Medicaid, but Medicaid doesn't automatically mean that the healthy spouse becomes, indigent. It doesn't mean that. So they can keep a certain amount of assets and still you, the applicant, would be able to qualify. Number three, what is a level of care that's needed? The third requirement in Florida Medicaid is medical necessity. Why do you need Medicaid? To qualify for a nursing home, Medicaid, or Florida Statewide Medicaid Managed Long-Term Care Program, you must meet a nursing home level of care assessment for a nursing home. This means that the applicant must demonstrate that they need assistance in the activities of daily living. You would also have to prove that if you're going into assisted living or need at-home care. So it's for all the programs: bathing, dressing, mobility, medication management, supervision because of some cognitive impairment. This assessment is handled directly through the Department of Elder Affairs and CARES program. Income alone does not qualify or disqualify someone. Assets alone don't qualify or disqualify someone, and there must be a medical need. So when families understand these three categories: income, assets, and level of care, they can stop panicking, because qualifying for Florida Medicaid is not about being destitute. It's about understanding the structure of the law. And when structured correctly, many Florida residents qualify without losing everything that they've worked for. So if you live in Florida and you're wondering whether you or your loved one qualifies for Medicaid in 2026, do not assume you're over the limit. Income can often be structured. Assets can sometimes not always, be protected. Planning 5 years in advance is optimal, but it must be done correctly, especially because Florida has a 5-year look-back period for improper transfers. So we need to plan very, very carefully. In the next video in this series, I'm going to explain what happens when you're over the income limit in Florida in 2026, and the legal strategies that Florida families can use to become eligible without violating the 5-year look-back period, the 5-year look-back rule. So if you're concerned about being just slightly over that limit, the next video is critical, and we're going to link it right here for you. We'll see you on the next video.